The time, 9 minutes to 9. This was the week of the Yorkshire audience, those people who took part in the election question time and gave all three party leaders a hard time. Tough questions which, because they came directly from voters, were very difficult to avoid or bat away. How do we get more of that? And another big question this weekend, looking ahead to next weekend and what happens, very likely to be a complex and even chaotic period in our politics. How does it all work? What's it like? What skills are needed to get a fractious House of Commons to agree anything? We're joined by two people who have views on both of those things. They were there the last time the Commons was ultra turbulent, and they were very much there when political leaders stood on soapboxes and got shouted at. Lord Heseltine and Lady Williams both join us. Good morning to you.
Morning. Good morning to you.
Lord Heseltine, first of all, what have you made of the campaign?
I think it's been a long campaign and there were consequences. I think that the media got bored by the arguments very rapidly, and the public, I think, didn't become involved in the campaign until fairly late. But that's the name of the game if you have a fixed parliament.
It's a very different case, isn't it, Lady Williams, between the involvement and the impact that the debate has at the party leader level and, if you like, a couple of removes down, because if you go to constituencies, there is still debate going on, there are hustings, etc.
Oh, it's everywhere. I mean, you get in a tube and people start talking to you, but it's not at the level of the leaders. They're totally protected by a mixture of the so-called SPADs, the special advisors, being told they've got to be on message, don't take any risks. And as a result, I think the programme has been, not the programme, excuse me, the campaign has been really quite dull. And I think what you've now got is a situation where people, for example, can only come to meetings if they're invited or if they're members of the party or things of that kind. And that's a tragedy in many ways, because the public has great sense of what matters. And if you look at things like the poll tax under the Thatcher regime, or more recently at things like the issue of Iraq, the public often has a very great sense of what ought to happen, and they're not heard.
You worked for Jim Callaghan. He was pretty available, wasn't he, to people? Not even just at election time.
Oh, he was wonderful. He used to travel to Cardiff every week to his constituency, and he would leave the door of the carriage open so that people could come and sit and talk to him. I used to walk with him through St James's Park on the way to House of Commons, and he would talk to all the people that came up to him. And of course, you didn't have the completely suffocating effect of what is called security, which means that people are always surrounded by security people and warned not to speak to members of the public.
And that's the difficulty, isn't it, Lord Heseltine? We have got ourselves into a culture where we accept that people need security, and obviously they do, but we accept that all that goes with that, and there is, a lack of risk-taking, not just with people's security, but also with putting them in front of real people.
Well, I don't agree with any of that. I think that the Jeremy Paxman interview with the leaders, David Dimbleby the other night, were as gruelling for a leader as you could expect. And in the David Dimbleby series, that lady who was running a small marketing business, who roughed up Ed Miliband, did an incredible job.
Yes, but I suppose the argument is that there hasn't been enough of that stuff.
Well, there's been plenty of it, actually, if you listen to these programmes, which have massive audience. I mean, David Dimbleby, I had over 4 million, the original broadcast 8. So these are meetings on a scale beyond any historic precedent. And I think all the arguments have been rehearsed. In the end, look, it's a very simple choice. Are you going to have Ed Miliband as Prime Minister or David Cameron? Are you going to have Ed Balls wrecking the show again, or George Osborne, who created a very successful economy? That's what the election is about.
Lady Williams?
I have to disagree almost completely with what has just been said by him. I have a great respect for Michael Heseltine, but I think on this he's completely wrong. He's talking as usual about professional television people, talking to professional politicians, leaving out the ordinary man and woman. And my point is that, and I travel by, for example, public transport almost all the time. People never stop talking to me, and I learn a hell of a lot from them. I think we have to show much more respect for the public, because it's often right, and not just put the whole thing down to professionals from the media talking to professionals from politics. That's exactly what excludes the public.
Lord Heseltine, can we just move on? All right, very briefly, and then can we move on to what happens in Parliament?
The people on those panels were not professional. They were ordinary members of the public, and they articulated their very clear views in a very trenchant way.
All right.
Yeah, but
let's go on. Sorry, both of you. If we can go on to what's going to happen in Parliament now, because you've both got such vital, valuable experience in that. You must still have memories of those nights in the House of Commons. Lord Heseltine, what happens? You famously, or I don't know whether you actually did do it or you didn't, but it was widely reported that you swung the mace